Broken Hill. Madam President, I'd like to request conference permission for a word change.
And what's that word, Dave?
From new to proposed, under the new proposed. Yep.
We have conference permission for that word change. Thank you. If you could read the new motion, please.
That ICPA New South Wales and ICPA Australia lobbies the relevant ministers to include rural and remote as a category of disadvantage under the proposed childcare system funding model.
Zana Gale, Broken Hill branch. I'd like to second that motion. Our members face many difficulties in accessing early childhood programs within their area. Families that live more than an hour's drive from a service don't find it feasible to drop their children to an early childhood service for several hours before collection and returning home. The Broken Hill Outback Mobile Resource Unit offers these remote families the opportunity to access beneficial early childhood programs, enabling the children to be school ready.
Thank you. Any speakers for the motion? Against? Any? Duncan.
Thanks, Kate. Duncan Taylor, immediate past president. I've struggled a bit about exactly how to play this, and I fully concur with the Broken Hill branch's sentiments regarding the Outback service there, the mobile service. But I just wonder whether the strongest message that this conference can send to our governments in relation to funding the mobiles is actually to vote this motion down. And I've talked to Broken Hill and warned them about this, but is to vote this motion down and actually send the message to our governments that these mobile services don't fit within the childcare system because they aren't childcare. They're a whole lot more than that. And that if we concur with the government of trying to sort of fit the round peg in a square hole, a square peg in a round hole, it would actually be a stronger message to vote this motion down and actually convey to the government that we don't believe mobiles are part of the childcare system and they shouldn't consider it. And we actually want a whole separate funding system for these mobiles that fits what the mobile services are achieving. So I'm actually asking for the conference to vote this motion down, not because I don't think Broken Hill have the right sentiment, because I think they do have the right sentiment. And I think the strongest message we can send to our governments is to say, these services are not part of your childcare reforms.
Any comment, Alison?
I agree with Duncan's sentiments there that yes, we are around hole trying to get into a square peg, whatever the wording is, but that's also making an assumption that all of these mobiles are funded under the same model and provide the same services, and they don't. Broken Hill provides a very different service to what Hay does, provides a very different service to what Deniliquin does, provides a very different service to what Pyro Darling do. So we can't put them all, even those services can't all go in one category either. It's an exception to the rule for each of them, and they need to be looked at on a case by case, because Hay Mobile, for an example, does provide preschool services, not just childcare.
Can I take that as a question and respond to it?
Yes.
Look, I agree and understand with that, and I'm not trying to push all the mobile services into one hole. In fact, I'm deliberately doing the opposite and saying they can't all be pushed into the childcare hole. And if the Hay Mobile service is providing preschool services, then it doesn't fit within the childcare system either. And that's another reason why we should be sending the message to the government, these services are not just childcare. Goes for Paru, goes for Broken Hill, and also goes for Hay, which is providing preschool services, which don't fit within the childcare system once again.
Thank you. Deborah, did you?
Deborah Lego, Paru branch. I concur with everything that Duncan has said. We've been arguing for quite some time now that we don't fit into a childcare model. And as for every service being different, this is why Paru branch has put their motion 51 asking for the flexibility in our funding terms and conditions to provide basically whatever our community needs. as those needs change. So I do think that there is room for a new funding program for remote mobile services that doesn't class any particular service as being childcare or preschool or any one thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue?
Sue Kingwall from Contact. I understand fully Duncan's arguments. My only concern, I believe so strongly that these services need to be recognised, particularly in remote areas, and to have a recognition of the uniqueness and the breadth of coverage about what they're delivering for rural and remote families. I'm not certainly arguing against that. My only concern is that childcare is within the education portfolio, and I don't want to water down the sense that these services are all providing a high quality education program, and I wouldn't like that to be lost within the argument. If we feel very strongly that we'd like to sustain them within that education portfolio and find another way to fund them. And the danger is that if we don't get them recognised within that system, the services may be filtered off to other funding avenues all over the countryside, so there won't be a collective where there is a power of those services being together. They might be filtered off to a bit of money from playgroup portfolio into Department of Social Services, or they may be filtered off to Indigenous advancement strategy, so they're not all collectively being recognised as educational programs. So that's simply a comment.
Thank you, Sue. Any further comments? Judy?
Judy Sinclair, New Federal Council. Seeing motion 51 was directed to ICPA Australia, and this one is also directed to ICPA Australia. I understand where Duncan's coming from, but our understanding is that the community support programs were to deliver funding for unique requirements, and particularly in the regional and remote areas. And I think what Duncan's suggesting is the way to action these motions, but I would like to see these motions put forward and carried, and Federal Council would like to work with ICPA New South Wales. I think it's an issue that's it's something that we thought we had covered, but just all of a sudden there's all these things that are cropping up, and we probably haven't had enough time to really consider exactly what we need to do and what we need to be saying.
So are you for the motion?
Yes, for the motion.
Okay, thanks, Judy. Any other speakers for the motion? Okay, I'll put against. Any further comments? Okay, I put motion A34. Those in favour? Just hold them up high, please. Those against? Motion carried.